Now we are going to start the fourth part of this lesson, that is applications of light. What is the meaning of applications, children? Under this part we are going to learn what are the uses of light. So some of these uses we experience in our day-to-day life and some of these uses we experience in special instances. Okay, we'll go through them. So here it's given for the production of food in plants. Now I hope you remember in the first lesson we learned about photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the process taken place in the plants where the plants can produce their own food. Okay, so sunlight is one essential factor for photosynthesis. That is why this is included under the uses or applications of light. Okay, the second one, to give a clear vision, which means to see things clearly. To give signals, we are going to learn about this under the topic. And for communications, to send messages, right? In the medical field, to carry out different surgeries, sometimes we need the help of different types of light beams, okay? For entertainment and for illumination. We will go through each topic now, children. For the production of food in plants. Now I told you what is the name given to this process, that is photosynthesis. So in the photosynthesis process, there are 4 factors affecting. Now you should remember these factors because we already learned these factors in the first lesson. What are the factors, children? Plants need carbon dioxide gas in the environment or in the atmosphere. And the plants need to absorb soil water, okay, from the plant roots. Look at this picture. The plant roots absorb soil water. So soil water we will consider the first factor. Okay. Then plants need carbon dioxide gas. Carbon dioxide gas enter the plant through the plant leaves. So that is the second factor. Right. The fourth factor, during the daytime this photosynthesis process takes place. What is the reason? That is because only in the presence of sunlight the photosynthesis process takes place in plants. Right? So sunlight is the third factor. What is the last factor? Plant leaves are green color because of the substance presence called chlorophylls. Right? Chlorophylls is the fourth factor. Chlorophylls is the fourth factor. Okay? So all 4 factors should be there in order to the plant to carry out photosynthesis or to produce food. At least one of these factors are not there, plants cannot do photosynthesis. This is why photosynthesis takes place only during the daytime, because during the night sunlight is not there. Understand? Okay. So now you all know photosynthesis means plants producing food. What are the other uses of this photosynthesis process, children? Now for the plants, this photosynthesis process is very important to produce food and thereby to produce its energy. What are the other uses of photosynthesis process? So do you remember in the first lesson we learned that all the animals directly or indirectly depend on the plants? I will show you that. Let's say a deer eats plants. A deer eats plants. So deer gets energy by eating food. Its food is plants because deer is a herbivore. What about a carnivore? Let's say a tiger eats this deer now. Tiger is a carnivore. So in order to produce energy, carnivores have to eat another animal. Okay. So deers produce energy by eating plants. The tiger produces energy by eating herbivores or any other animal. Okay. Now how does the plant produce its energy? Plants can produce their own food, their own energy. Okay. So plants are known as producers because of this condition, because plants can produce their own food. Plants are known as producers. Okay. So what will happen if all the plants die and there are no more plants on the earth? Then all the animals will eventually die. Okay. That is because herbivores like deer, rabbit, they directly depend on plants. What about the carnivores? Do the carnivores also depend on plants? They do. Look at this one. Deer gets energy by eating plants, right? Tiger tiger doesn't eat plants, but tiger gets energy by eating the deer, which has the energy produced using plants, right? Because deer produces energy by eating plants. Therefore, the energy inside the deer actually belongs to the plants, right? Therefore, tiger gets energy by eating the deer. Therefore, even though the tiger does not eat plants directly, it indirectly depends on plants. So as I asked earlier, if all the plants die, what will happen to the herbivores? They will also die. If all the herbivores will die, what will happen to the carnivores? Like tiger, they will also die. Right? That is because plants are the primary producers. Plants can produce food for the whole world in this case. Right, children? So because of this one, the photosynthesis is considered to be the most important use of light. Okay, so unlike other living organisms, green plants can produce their own food. The energy needed for the process of food production is obtained from the light, right? So the photosynthesis process, to carry out the photosynthesis process, plants need energy that is given by the sunlight. Okay, so you all know that all other animals directly or indirectly depend on plants for food. Because of this, we consider that the production of food in plants is the main advantage of the light. You understand, children? So if sunlight is not there, plants cannot produce their food, because as I told you, to carry out photosynthesis, all 4 factors must be there. Okay? Water, carbon dioxide, sunlight and chlorophylls. Right? When all these factors present in plants, they can produce food. So if plants can produce food, plants can produce energy thereafter. Right? So when the herbivores eat plants, this energy go into the herbivores. When carnivores feed on herbivores, that energy in herbivores which was obtained by eating plants then go into the carnivores. That is why we say that carnivores and herbivores both, or all the animals directly or indirectly depend on plants. Understand? We will move to the next use. Look at this one. To give a clear vision, this is the second application of light. Now you all can see, look at this one. These are different types of light bulbs. Now we learned, the beginning of the lesson we learned, to see something clearly, we need 2 factors. What are they, children? We need a healthy eye and we need light. Any source of light we need. Okay, children? So we even did a certain activity to prove that light is needed to see something. Okay? So earlier people received light from natural objects, like natural sources like sun, moon and stars. But after the invention of fire, the man was able to produce light from various sources. And with the development of technology, the light bulb was invented to get light. Okay? So look at these different types of light bulbs, children. Look at this one. This is a filament bulb, right? And this is a CFL bulb. This is a type of bulb that it's a flashlight that produces a large amount of light, right? This is a kind of light bulb made with LED bulb. So in this way, there are different types of modern types of light bulbs we use in our day-to-day lives, like tube lights also there. Right, children? So it's very clear that without these type of sources of lights, we can't see very clearly, right? Especially during the night time, these light bulbs are very important because we don't have the natural source of light, the main natural source of light, the sun. Okay, so we have to use these type of light bulbs during the night time. So not only these type of light bulbs, sometimes we use different types of lamps, like there are certain areas where electricity is not provided. So then those people, they have to use different types of lamps like kerosene lamps. Okay, so it's very clear light is very important to give a clear vision. So without light, we cannot see things properly. Understand? We will move to the next. The third application of light is illumination or light up the environment. Okay, for illumination. Look at these pictures, children. You all can see there are different. Now these are the different instances where we use light to light up the environment. Look at this one. This is a Vesak pandal. You can see different colored lights are, light bulbs are fixed to this one, right? So this one, Deepavali festival, people light oil lamps like this to light up the environment. So Christmas trees decorated, like you all know those Christmas lights, right? Different colorful lights are used in these type of festivals, right? So here, look at this Eiffel Tower. It's you can see how beautiful it is during the night time with all these lights, right? So the streets, and here's another Vesak pandal, right? You all can see how beautiful these environments are with these types of different colorful light bulbs. Okay, so this is another function, another use of light. Okay, children. So at present, most of the countries in the world use different colored and patterned bulbs to illuminate various occasions. Large light sources are used in marketplaces, populated streets, and shopping complexes for advertisements. Now all these pictures you all can see like during the night time taken, right? But what about when you go to, let's say, jewelry shops? The entire environment is very bright because they light even during the daytime. They light these type of different bright color light bulbs, right? And sometimes you must have seen different name boards like with neon lights. Name boards are decorated with these type of neon lights. Okay, so to light up the streets during the night time, these type of bright colored light bulbs are used. Okay, so there's a video clip that we are going to watch related to this. We'll watch that one now. Right, children. So you saw how beautiful the environment with those different types of light bulbs. Okay, so it's very clear that light is used for illuminate, right? For illumination, we can use light. We'll move to the next. Look at these pictures, children. Now this is the next use of light or next application of light as signals. What can you see here? We can see a lighthouse. And here we can see traffic lights. Okay, so sometimes we have to use light as signals, right? To warn about something, sometime to indicate that something's going to happen. We have to use light. Okay, an instance where light is used to give signals is the light used in lighthouses. Now look at this lighthouse. You all can see that how powerful this light produced here is. Okay, they release a powerful beam of light which gives the signal to the sailors that to indicate that the land is close, right? So sometimes the sailors and even fishermen, when they are in the deep ocean, sometimes they cannot see, they cannot understand where they are. Let's say if they are lost, if they see something like this, they can understand that because these always the lighthouses are located in a land area. Now they know that a land is somewhere close by. Okay, so to indicate that land is present somewhere close by, we can use these type of light emitted by the lighthouses. Okay, and what about this one? Now this is traffic light. You all know that there are 3 colors in the traffic lights: the green, amber and red color, right? So you must have experienced these things. Now some areas I know that you don't see these traffic lights, but in like city areas we can see these type of traffic lights everywhere. So let's go through this. In traffic lights you may have seen the colors red, green and yellow or amber color, right? They individually give a message to the drivers and the pedestrians also. Even to the pedestrians, you must have seen in the crossing, right, in the zebra crossing, sometimes they have installed these type of lights, red and green one. If the red one appears, you cannot cross the road by that time because the vehicles are moving on, right? Only when the green light appears, it indicates that now you can cross the road. Understand? So more attention is gained through the use of light to give such signals. Red is a color that shows danger. Remember, I told you sometimes red lights are used in the railway crossings to indicate that a train is coming. Okay, so it is very dangerous to cross the railway when the train is coming. Okay, so that is why in advance they signal using a red color light. That is dangerous. Okay, children. Right, we'll move to the next one now. Now the next use or next application of light is for communication. How do we use light to communicate, children? Now communication means sending messages, connect with each other, keeping the connection between countries. They all are coming under communication. Now how do we use light to communicate, to send messages? It's pretty important. We'll go through this one. Communication in the modern world is well developed. Not like those old days. They had only letters and they didn't have internet, no telephone, nothing, right? For this, different types of light rays are used. Now, a special type of light rays used in this instance is, for this purpose is, types of light rays called IR rays, so infrared rays. IR or infrared rays. Infrared rays or infrared beams. Okay, IR. Okay, children. So for this, different types of light rays are used. Telephone messages are transmitted through optical fibers. What are these optical fibers, children? Look at this picture. Now these optical fibers are kind of transparent, flexible fibers. They are made up of special types of glass or kind of plastic. Okay, so you all can see they are flexible and at the same time they are transparent too. Sometimes you must have these type of optical fibers because these type of optical fibers are used even in some decorations, in some ornaments, decorations. You must have seen these type of optical fibers, right? Very wavy, flexible, transparent kind of fibers, okay? So telephone messages are transmitted through optical fibers. So how can we transmit telephone messages through these fibers, children? That is because these fibers can transmit messages from one place to another place as a light ray, specifically like these infrared rays. Now IR rays is a type of light rays. Okay? So telephone connection networks across the main cities of Sri Lanka have been built using optical fibers, right? Optical fibers are used to connect computer networks and high standard audiovisual equipment, right? Used to connect computer networks and high standard audiovisual equipment. Why do we use these type of fibers to connect computer networks and to get high standard audiovisual equipment? In high standard audiovisual equipment, that is because these type of fibers can transmit data or transfer data at high speed. Without disturbance at high speed, we can transport or transmit a large amount of data at once. This is why we use these type of fibers. Okay, they use optical fibers and laser rays to send telephone messages and to maintain internet connections, right? Optical fibers and even laser rays to send telephone messages and to maintain internet connections. So sometimes these type of optical fibers are used to send messages from one country to another country. So how do we send messages? Let's say that so our country is an island. We have to send messages to another country here like Australia. So what we have to do? How do we use these type of optic fibers to send messages, children? There are a special type of tubes are made using these optic fibers. Those are known as subsea cables or submarine cables. Why do we call it that name? That is because those fibers are laid on the seabed. right, laid on the seabed, and from one place to another place, they can transmit data, a large amount of data at high speed. Okay, children. So it's very important. These optic fibers are very important to send messages or large amount of data without disturbance. Okay, that is the most important point. Without disturbance, at high speed, right? Therefore, no time waste. At high speed, a large amount of data, right, can be transmitted through these fibers. See how important these applications of lights are. Okay, children, so did you ever think that light can be used to send messages from one place to another place? Now, because of this technique, you all know that you can easily talk to someone who is in another country. So it won't take much time to connect with each other, and at the same time you can connect through telephones, right? So that all happens because of the technique, the special technique carried out by these optical fibers. Understand, children? We have a small video clip on these optical fibers. We'll watch that now. Right. So in that video, you saw the optical fibers, right, children? So I hope this part is very clear now. We'll move to the next. So then the next application of light is used in the medical field. How do we use light in medical field? Okay, we'll go through this. At present, doctors use laser rays to treat eye patients, in heart operations, and to treat wounds in the digestive system too. Right? Treat wounds in the digestive system. Okay. So how do we use these laser rays? Now, laser rays are a type of light rays, right? So how do we use laser rays in these instances, children? Now, let's consider about the eye patients. Have you heard of cataract? Now, if you consider your eye, you can see, if you have a healthy eye, you can see very clearly. How can we see clearly using our eye? That is because our eye has a lens. This is called the eye lens. And this eye lens is transparent. Now, if this is the eyeball, we have the eye lens like this. So, when you look at any object, light rays reflected by that object reaches your eye, and these light rays go through the eye lens, and image will formed on one point of the eye, right, at one place, and so that special nerves present in this place, and your brain can identify. Now these nerve cells will go to the brain, and your brain can identify what type of object you are looking at. Okay, so if this is the object, you can see it very clearly because the light rays coming from that object goes through your eye lens, and from your eye lens, using the eye lens, you can focus these light rays onto that particular place where the image is formed. Okay, so in this case, in order for these light rays to travel through the eye lens, now this is the eye lens. This lens should be transparent. Then only light rays can travel through this eye lens very easily. But sometimes certain cloudy substances deposit on the eye lens, and eye lens becomes cloudy or little translucent. This most of the time happens when we get old, right? When we get old, cloudy substances present that form on the lens of the eye, and the eye becomes cloudy, like a white color substance formed on the eye lens, right? So because of these reasons, because of this cloudy nature of the eye lens becomes translucent. So now it is not transparent like before, therefore light rays cannot pass through this eye lens very easily. So that if the light rays cannot pass through the eye lens very easily, we can't see the objects clearly, right? So this condition, these types of substances formed on the eyelids are known as cataract, right? So we have to remove this cataract. So how do we remove this cataract? In order to remove this cataract, we can use laser rays, right? Using laser rays, by directing laser rays, doctors can remove the cataract from your eye and the lens will become very clear again, transparent again, so that you can see again clearly like before. Understand, children? And even in heart operations, sometimes the blood vessels that provide blood to the heart, oxygen to the heart, gets blocked by the fat plaques, fat depositions, right? So it is a very bad condition, children. If these fat plaques, so the fat depositions form inside the blood vessels, the heart doesn't get enough oxygen, so that heart cannot pump blood to the body. This is a very bad condition, children. So in that case, doctors have to remove this fat deposited inside the blood vessels. So to dissolve this fat, to remove this fat, sometimes they use this type of laser rays. Understand? And sometimes to treat these type of digestive disorders also, sometimes they use laser rays to treat the wounds. And sometimes in order to remove kidney stones also, laser rays are used, right? You all know that some people develop this type of kidney stones in their excretory system. So these stones also should be removed. So laser rays are important to remove these stones also, right? To break down these stones and to remove, right? And sometimes laser rays are important. Laser rays are used to treat the skin diseases like the skin complications like acne, right? To get a better skin also, laser rays are used. Understand? So just imagine if we are not going to use laser rays, for most of these instances, we have to perform major surgeries in our body, right? For example, let's say that there's no way of using laser rays or any other methods to remove those fat. The doctors have to open the heart. So without opening the heart, right, without going for a major procedure, without going for a major surgery, doctors can easily remove these type of fat, and the cataract surgery also can be done without performing major surgeries, because we can use laser rays. See how important this is, right? We'll go through the next. With the use of optical fibers, again optical fibers are used here. The interior parts of the body are easily observed, right? Here the equipment used to lighten the interior of the body is called the endoscope. Endoscope, right? Sometimes during different complications, doctors need to observe the inner parts of your body. For example, sometimes when people have gastritis for a long period of time, doctors need to check the stomach. So in this case, they use this tube-like structure, the tube-like equipment called endoscope. Okay, children? So what they do is, they insert this endoscope through the mouth of the patient, right? The endoscope is inserted through the mouth of the patient and sent to the stomach, right? So this is the stomach. Now the endoscope is sent into the stomach, and now there's a camera at the end of the endoscope and it can take pictures. But there's one problem. Inside the stomach, the body parts, inside the environment, the interior environment is dark. So how to see the light, even to the camera, the inside should be, in order to take pictures, this environment should be bright. So to bright up the environment, now here in this equipment, optic fibers are used. Right, children? Optic fibers can be used to light up the environment, so that this camera can capture the areas of the interior environment very well. Okay, children? Here, the equipment used to lighten the interior of the body is called the endoscope. Understand? So by looking at these examples, it's very clear that so many major procedures taken place in medicine, modern medical field, are related with this type of light rays. I hope this part is clear now, right? Look at this one. In some countries, optic fibers, optical fibers. Optical fibers are used to light the rooms in tall buildings during the daytime. Here the sunlight is sent through these fibers and the rooms are lighted up, right? So let's see how this happens. Now you all know, now when we live in our houses, we have windows to get daylight. But just imagine the large buildings with number of stories, right? The large buildings with number of stories, sometimes certain areas don't get enough sunlight, right? Just imagine this is the tall building. What will happen? If a certain space present like this in between, right? It might not get enough sunlight because it is surrounded by other spaces, so other rooms, let's say. Okay? So in this case, some countries use optical fibers to send daylight, send sunlight to that particular area. How do they do that, children? They can use, in this case, they can use, we have to collect the sunlight, right? So they use special solar collectors. These are known as solar collectors. There we can collect sunlight using these type of equipment, right? Solar collectors. Solar collectors. Solar collectors. So the sunlight is collected and directed to this collection of optic fibers, right? Collection of optical fibers. This sunlight is directed, collected by the solar collector, and sunlight is directed towards this bundle of optical fibers. This bundle of optical fibers are known as light pipes. Light pipes, right? Now these light pipes can be taken to the, right, through the walls, maybe can be taken to the particular area, the particular place, and light can be provided. See how interesting this process is. Daylight is collected, the sunlight is collected, then transmitted through the tubes and pipes, and it's given to the place where it doesn't get, a remote area. Understand? So it's very important that to learn these type of things, right, children, even though this is coming under additional knowledge. So it's very interesting. Okay, in the modern world, they find different methods to use these type of natural resources. Okay, we'll move to the next one. Look at this one. The next type of application of light for entertainment. Now by looking at these pictures, you can understand we can use light for many other purposes too. In musical shows and fairs, light is used on large scale, right? So you must have seen, even on television, you must have seen that in musical shows lighted up with different types of light. Sometimes light beams, the rotating light beams are there. Colorful lights are there. Now sometimes in stage dramas, you must have seen light is used to express different emotions. To express danger, they use red light, right? To express happiness, they use bright yellow lights. Okay, children. So light can give different emotions too, express different emotions too, right? So in here, they use spotlights of different colors to light up the stage. Okay, so sometimes in musical shows, you must have seen when the singer comes to the front of the stage, that only that area where the person is standing gets lighted up, spotlights, right? Okay, so even lights are used in toys designed for children. Look at this one. These are light wands, right? So look at this one. These are different types of instruments, different toys where colorful lights are used. Okay, look how interesting and beautiful these pictures are, children. Look at this one. Light beams of different colors are used in musical shows like this. And sometimes you must have seen to light up the carnivals, right? Sometimes to light up the garden environments. In garden parties, they use these beautiful fairy lights and all. Okay, so to light up the environment, for entertainment, to beautify the environment, different types of and different colorful lights are used. Okay, so we are going to watch another video clip on this one now. Right. So you watched the video, so it was very clear how the environment gets really beautiful and for entertainment, how light can be used. We'll move to the next one now. Look at this one, children. To produce light artificially, we have to spend money, which is true. Now, how do we produce light artificially? Basically, we use light bulbs. To light up the light bulbs, what do we need, children? Electricity, right? So we know that we have to pay monthly basis, we have to pay the electricity bill, which means this is true. To produce light artificially, we have to spend money, right? Therefore, unnecessary usage of light is a wastage of energy and money both. So how to save energy, how to save money, children? Now sometimes without even considering much, when you come out of a room, do you turn off the light, children? Some of you I know that does, but some of us we don't do that as a practice, right? We have to switch off the lights when we don't use them. Okay, so in that way we can save the energy as well as we can save money too. Okay, so we must always be cautious enough to stop the wastage of light, and at the same time we must use it without making a disturbance to others. Sometimes there are like instances, the large amount of light, like very strong light, becomes a disturbance too, right? For example, let's say that if we have a certain function happening in our house, when we use lights, it shouldn't be a burden to our neighbors, right? And at the same time, let's say that you all are small children, when you play with these type of toys, you should not direct it to the other side, because if they produce a strong light, it will be very harmful. Okay, so without disturbing others, without being a burden to the others, you have to use light. Understand, children? Right. This is for additional knowledge. We'll go through this. When there's a lot of fog, it's very difficult to travel on roads as we can't see anything. Now, do you remember we discussed the same type of situation before, right? But light beams of headlights could be seen through fog. Now, we can't see when the road is covered with fog, right? When air has a lot of fog, we can't see the road properly, but at the same time, we can see the light beams very clearly. Light beams emitted by the vehicles, we can see very clearly. Why does that happen? The reason is that air is transparent on normal foggy conditions, on normal conditions, right? Not foggy. Right. Okay. The reason is that air is transparent. Air is transparent on normal conditions, but air becomes translucent. Air becomes translucent on foggy conditions. What is this fog? These are clouds of water droplets, children. When more and more water droplets get added to the air, what happens? The air becomes cloudy, right? That is why the fog looks like misty, like it looks like a white color, right? White color, cloudy environments present when the air is foggy, right? So air becomes translucent on foggy conditions. When the humidity is high in air, what is the meaning of humidity, children? Humidity means the amount of water vapor present in the environment, okay? When the humidity is high in air, air becomes translucent, right? Now, do you remember we did an experiment to study this one? Now, when we sent that light ray, the laser beam through the empty bottle, which means the bottle is filled with air, normal air, we couldn't see the path of the light ray, right? But when we fill the bottle with caustic smoke, we could see the path of light very clearly, the straight line. Why was that, children? Even though the light travels really well through air, normal air, we cannot see because air is a transparent material. But when the air gets a little translucent, we can see the path of light very clearly. Okay, we will move to the next. What is this one? There's a new type of lamp in modern vehicles as fog light. When the environment is foggy, we can use these lights to see the road very well, right? To be used when the atmosphere becomes translucent because of the mist. Now, you all know under the foggy conditions, a foggy environment, it's very difficult to drive because we can't see the road properly. So, in that case, some vehicles, they have an additional set of lights called fog lights, right? Now, if this is the vehicle, so if this is the vehicle, right. Okay, so if this is the vehicle, normally headlights are fixed to upper position, fog lights are fixed to the lower position. Look at this picture. Now these are the headlights, this is the fog light, right? Fog lights are fixed closer to the road in a downward position. Therefore, when we light up during a foggy condition, when we light up these fog lights, it can direct a beam of light to the road so that we can see the road very well, very clearly, right? So, when the atmosphere becomes translucent because of the mist, we can use these fog lights to light up the road so that we can see the road very clearly. Now we are going to watch a video clip on this one. So after watching the video clip, it's very clear when we light up the fog lights, we can see the road very clearly in a misty condition. Understand? We'll move to the next. This is something we have learned even before. Optical fibers are a type of flexible fibers which are made up of special types of glass or plastic. Right? Those are flexible, transparent fibers, right? Do you remember we learned it under optical fibers and how under communication we learned this part? Okay. An optic tube is called, what is this optic tube? Optic tube is called a collection of such fibers. Right now this is the optic tube. This part is the optic tube. Now these are the optical fibers present inside the optic tube. Okay. So, optic tube is made up of a collection of optical fibers, right? So, the use of such tubes to transport light is called optic fiber technology or fiber optic technology, right? Optic fiber technology or even fiber optic technology is correct. So, the use of such tubes to transport light is called or transport messages is called optic fiber technology. Understand? Right. Okay. Look at this. Look at this picture. What is this, children? This is the first light bulb, right? The first light bulb with carbon filaments. In the United States of America was invented by Thomas Alva Edison in 1879. Thomas Alva Edison in 1879. This is Thomas Alva Edison, right? Now see, because of his invention, how important, how useful this invention is, children, because he invented this light bulb, the first light bulb. Now our day-to-day life is very easy for us, right? Now this is the beginning of the light bulb. Now the people, the other scientists, they kept on developing the form of this light bulb. Now here you can see the size of the light bulb. It's very big, right? But nowadays we use different other types of light bulbs, right? So, but this is the person who invented it to the world, and this invention is a very, very important invention in our day-to-day life now, right? So even though in the first bulb they use the carbon filaments, nowadays we use, in the filament bulbs we use a metal core to make the filament. Now this is the filament of the bulb. If this is the bulb, this is the filament. Now in the first bulb the filament was made by carbon, right? But nowadays we use a metal called tungsten. Tungsten. Okay, using tungsten we make this filament nowadays. Understand, children? Now we have completed the lesson. Now we are going to see what are the things we learned, what are the important things we learned under this lesson. We are going to go through the summary. So we'll go through the summary, children. The main factors that must be satisfied to have completed vision are, what are the main factors? Two main factors are light and the eye, right? The objects we use to get light are known as sources of light. And under that we learn that there are two types of sources, two sources of light, natural sources and artificial sources, right? Natural sources, the sun coming under natural source, some animals like fireflies coming under natural sources of light, and artificial sources, the light bulbs, right? Or the lighted bulb, the lighted candle, they are the artificial sources of light, okay? Objects which emit their own light are known as luminous objects. Luminous objects can emit their own light. Now even luminous objects, there are natural and artificial luminous objects, right? Natural luminous objects, the sun, the stars, fireflies, glowworms, right? Those are coming under natural luminous objects. What are the artificial luminous objects? The lighted light bulb, right? The lighted bulbs, the lighted candle, the lighted lamps, they all are coming under artificial sources of light, right? Then objects, while the ones which cannot emit light are known as non-luminous objects. Objects which emit their own light are known as luminous objects, while the ones which cannot emit light are known as non-luminous objects. Do you remember we learned about non-luminous objects too, right? All the other furniture and all the other objects coming under non-luminous objects, because they cannot produce their own light, they cannot emit their own light, okay? And under this one, do you remember we learned that the moon and the other planets also coming under non-luminous objects. The moon looks brighter because of the sunlight falls on the moon, right? Not because the moon can produce its own light. Therefore, moon is considered as a non-luminous object. Even all the planets also considered as the non-luminous objects, okay? The way light transmits through objects differs from object to object. Now, do you remember we did a lot of experiments to study this part, right? The light travels in different objects, different materials in different ways, right? Actually, there are three different ways that light travels. Because the light travels in these three different ways, there are three types of materials. Do you remember them, right? According to that, we categorize them as transparent, translucent and opaque materials, right? So I hope you all remember this one. Through some materials, light travels really well, right? So those type of materials or objects are known as transparent objects. And through some other materials, light travels partially. Only part of the light is traveled, right? So those type of materials are known as translucent materials. And through some other materials, light does not travel at all. And these type of materials are known as opaque materials, right? And light transmits in straight lines. This is another important fact we learn about light, that light always travels in straight lines or linear paths, right? The combination of light rays is called a light beam. Do you remember, to indicate a light ray, we used a straight line, and to indicate a light beam, we use number of light rays, number of straight lines. Each time you have to show the direction using an arrowhead, right? There are many applications of light apart from giving vision, right? In the whole lesson, the first part of the lesson, we learned that we need light to see something clearly. But what are the other applications, children? There are so many other uses of light. Especially we learned about photosynthesis. For the plants to carry out photosynthesis and thereby to produce food, sunlight is one main important factor, right? So without sunlight, plants cannot carry out photosynthesis, right? And again, we used different types of light rays are used in communication, to communicate messages, right? For communication, light rays are used. And we learned that light rays are used in medical field to illuminate, right? As signals, light is used. There are so many other interesting events that different types of lights are used. Now, after going through all these things, I'm sure you understand there are so many interesting topics that we have to learn about light, right? And all these experiments we did, all the activities we discussed in this lesson, you all can do at home, children. You have to do them and learn them better, right? And now it's time to do the exercise. Now we discussed the lesson. Now we can brush up our knowledge by doing the exercise. Now remember, children, before you watch the exercise, before you watch the answers explained by me, first of all, you all have to do the exercise. You all have to write the answers for all these questions by yourselves, okay? Then you can go through the video when I explain the answers. You can check whether your answers are correct. Right, children? So we have completed the fourth part of the lesson. We are moved to the fifth part of the lesson. There we are going to discuss the exercise questions.